What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rogerformer Show. My name is Roger Corney, also known as that Rogerformer on the internet, and today I want to talk about video games, but more specifically, what makes a video game a video game? And I know, that sounds like the stupidest and dumbest question I've ever asked in the entirety of the history of the world, and I've asked a lot of stupid questions, but here's the thing. This question, this simple question, has spurred a lot of conversation and debate in the video game community. One of my favorite pastimes, as crazy as this might sound, is to go into the YouTube comments and read all of the posts related to video games. Now, you might ask me, Roger, why would you do such a thing? Is it because you love torturing yourself? Is it because you hate yourself? Is it because you're just very, very stupid? Now, the answer to all those questions are yes. Yes, 100 times over, but that's not the point. The reason I go into the YouTube comments is because I like seeing different opinions, as crass or sophisticated as they may be. One of the most perplexing things that I've seen in the comments is the idea that video games aren't a video game unless they fit a certain criteria. And it's actually a really interesting and perplexing idea, and I wanted to talk about it a bit. I've always operated under the assumption that anything under the Steam category of video games is, a video game. But to a decent amount of people, that's not really the case. To them, the baseline definition of a video game isn't what a video game is to them at all. For me, a video game is really simple. If it's interactive, and if you have a goal, it's a video game. That simple. Games from The Last of Us, to Spelunky, to the worst video game I've ever played in my life, Duke Nukem Forever, they're all video games, no matter their production value, quality, or genre. They all fall under the umbrella of video games. The argument that I keep on seeing is that games like Gone Home and Her Story aren't real games, and I can actually see kinda what they're trying to get at there. Games like that aren't traditional. They don't have huge, massive action sequences, or first-person combat, or multiplayer extravaganzas. They're specifically story-driven games focused on trying to tell a story in an interesting and unorthodox way. But that's alright. That's perfectly fine. Video games don't have to be our preconceived notions of what they traditionally are. Video games are an amalgamation of different parts and different things, and it's not just a checklist of what makes a game and what doesn't make a game a game. Take, for example, Gone Home. Gone Home is one of those games that's all about finding and exploring and really taking in all of the things around you at that time, and Her Story does a very similar thing. These games aren't traditional in this sense, but they're pushing the medium forward and they're creating experiences that can only be found in video games. I mean, movies and television can't even replicate the things that Gone Home and other indie games and other AAA video games are doing right now. These games are really pushing the landscape forward, and that's a very important thing for video games to be doing. So, back to the original question. What makes a game a game? For me, I feel like what makes a game is the fact that it's able to be interactive with, and you can play it, and it has a goal. That's pretty much it. As to what it contains, or what the game is actually about, or how it plays, that's up to the artists and the developers. I mean, us trying to say that a game isn't a game, or trying to limit it for what it is actually hurting way more than it's helping. Us saying that, well, this game shouldn't be a game because it has too much cinematics, or this game shouldn't be a game because it doesn't have enough action, is hurting, because it's limiting developers and artists to creating what they want to create. We must focus on the overall idea of a game and what it is as a whole, other than just, checking off a few checkboxes of what criteria makes a video game. I think the more important thing that we should be thinking about is if the game is good or if it's bad, rather than if it's a video game or not. Because I think just us constricting this large umbrella that we call video games into a smaller and smaller thing is just hurting everyone involved. We should be thinking if a game is good or if it's bad or how great it is or if it should be worshipped as much as it is, not if it's a game or not, because I think that's been established what a game is and what a game isn't. But I mean, that's just my opinion. When does my opinion ever matter? Spoiler, never. So, leave your comments below. I want to have a conversation with you guys because this is something that I think about kinda a lot. I want to hear your guys' opinions, see if anyone contradicts me, if they have any good points. I just want to talk to you guys. Twitter, Rogerformer, Rogerformer.com, everywhere. Bye!